All right, guys, welcome back to the channel here. Um, First off, I want to say thank you for all the kind words and the support from my first video comparing the Flight Factor 320 and the ToLiss 319. Um, it was very well received within the community. I'm going to continue to produce content highlighting these two wonderful aircraft. And I want to say off the bat that I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to badmouth one company or the other. I just trying to give an honest review and my honest opinions on these two aircraft since I'm a very passionate flight simmer. I mean, my flight simming goes back to definitely Microsoft Flight Simulator 98. That was probably the first one that I really started flying well. I flew a couple of the older ones, 95, but I really started getting serious into flight simming on Microsoft FSX 98. So something I'm passionate about, and obviously I'm passionate about flying. I've been an airline pilot for the last decade, um, and I really love the Airbus. So I hope nobody takes anything too personal when I'm making my comments regarding these aircraft. So with that said, there is a new update. Shortly after that video released yesterday, I think today it officially went live. I was informed by some of the comments. Awesome. I am in the new aircraft right now. We have a new update. We're going to look at the highlighted features that have been fixed. A lot of them from that I highlighted in my video have been fixed, um, which is awesome. And we are also going to do something fun today. I have some exact takeoff data from a flight that I did in the summer. I was going through some of my old bags and I found a takeoff performance sheet that I used, and we're going to match the weather and the temperature, the wind, the weights, everything as close as we possibly can, and we're going to see how this aircraft performs on the ground with regards to performance. So let's get started. We are going to get everything fired up here. I am going to be remaking my first series of videos. I know I did the first series in the Flight Factor about proper procedure on startup and all that. I know there's some stuttering, especially with OBS, but now I have that fixed, so I'm going to remake those videos, and I will probably do an in-depth kind of tutorial from pre-flight to post-flight operations, kind of flip-flopping between the 319 and the 320. That way we get a mix of both aircraft. All right, so here we are looking at the lower ECAM. I pointed out in that first review video that I was disappointed the all button did not work. Well, I was told it works now. However, not able to. Interesting. Well, I can put my thumb over it, but I can't click it. Maybe that's something on my end. Alright, in the McDo, somebody said that, a comment saying that they have a picture of a zero fuel weight CG and zero fuel weight depicted just like this. Now that may be true. Anybody that flies Airbus for a long time, I mean, Airbus has been around longer than I have, so I'm definitely not a know-all, be-all when it comes to Airbus, but I am looking at my manual, which dates back to 2009, and it covers the A318, 19, and 21 with a Honeywell interactive FMC, and it shows the zero fuel weight on the opposite side of the CG. So it's not a big deal. It's just something that I noticed that kind of threw me for a loop. All right, another message that they highlighted in their update log or in their change log rather, for a decelerate message to appear in the PFD if you pass the top of descent without initiating the descent. That is correct. A lot of guys are confused, especially coming from Boeing. You expect the aircraft to start down automatically. In the Airbus, it will not start down automatically. And what happens is you have a top of descent point calculated in your McDo, and when you fly over that, you should get a decelerate in all caps would pop up here in your McDo and on your PFD right here. So they have that fixed now. That's good. A couple of SATCOM changes. I haven't really messed around with any of that. Added engine start fault caution message for start attempts without bleed air. If you watched my last video, I talked about the bleed air being too much. It pressurizes too quick. Let's see if that still is the case. Yeah, it still pressurizes instantly. I don't like to see that, but we'll try to do a start without bleed, and we'll see the ECAM procedure pop up. Alright, so we have engine 1 running, and I said I was going to test their APU bleed, or not necessarily APU bleed, but their engine start bleed modeling. So, if you paid attention, I said that when I go to ignition start, first and foremost, this should switch over to the ignition page, to the engine start page, which is not. So that should be changed. We'll manually push it over. Alright, so we have 0 pressure. Now, I said I'd like to see that this APU bleed, when I turn it on, have it slowly build pressure, because that takes a while, especially if you went out on a single engine and you had your APU bleed off, and then you're going to start your second engine. It takes a long time to pressurize both sides again with the APU. So I'd like to see them do a little better model on that. Pretty similar how to have it dissipating here. If they could just replicate that for increase of pressure, that would be awesome. Alright, we're going to go ahead and attempt to start the engine with no pressure. We should get a start fault. I've got no pressure. There it is. Engine 2 start fault, low air pressure, bleed air supply check. Now what I'm not getting is a warning. I should get a caution, a ding, saying engine 2 start fault. I'm not getting that ding. Whoops. So we'll go ahead and we'll clear that. So that is, it's close, not quite there. We need to get that master warning. Ding, engine 2 start fault. VHF, VOR, etc. volumes can now be adjusted directly from the audio control panel, ACP. That's awesome. So that's these knobs right here. Obviously, to the right is more volume, less volume. And it always helps, guys, to have your radio on. Trying to find out why you can't communicate with air traffic control. Here's a big one. Remove the boxes around armed modes in the FMA. So, this is huge. This upper column, or I'm sorry, this upper portion of your PFD is known as the FMA, Flight Mode Annunciator. Now, there's 2 lines in the FMA. There's an upper FMA and the lower FMA. Essentially, when something is active, it will be on the top of your FMA. When something is armed to capture, it will be on the lower portion of your FMA. Now, when something gets captured and it transitions from the bottom of your FMA to the top of your FMA, it becomes boxed. That means you have just entered a new flight mode, hence the name Flight Mode Annunciator, FMA. So it's very important to see those boxed indications on your FMA so you are in tune with what the aircraft is doing and you're making sure that you are aware of all the changes that are happening in your FMA. So having the correct boxed items is really good. Prior to this update, armed items were being boxed. A couple more fixes with nav2 not accepting identifiers. Let's take a look at that. Let's try ETT, which is Maverick. Boom, there it is. So that works. We can hard tune our radios now. That's good to see. Alright, fixed APU sounds during delayed shutdown sequence, and I heard they fixed the shutdown sequence of the APU to monitor something more realistic. I'll get into that in a future video when I'm doing the full tutorial series from pre-flight to post-flight operations in the Airbus. I'm going to cover everything that we would do in a normal day, and I'm going to go into depth in some of those items, such as APU shutdown. What are we looking for? What's an auto shutdown? What are my protections? Bunch of cool stuff in the Airbus that a lot of people don't even know about, but that's why I want to make these videos, so you guys can even enjoy these modules even more than you thought that you possibly could. So that kind of is a very rough highlight video of some of the changes that they made. What we're going to do is fire this baby up and do a performance test. Like I said, I have the information written down. I do not have, unfortunately, when we get our takeoff numbers, it's printed out right here on the printer, and you get a little white piece of paper. I had that white piece of paper, and I don't know what I did with it, but I did write down all the information on that piece of paper, so I'll post that up on the screen. We'll change the weather, and you'll be able to see how accurate this aircraft really is. Alright guys, so right now in the ToLiss Interactive Simulation Control System, we are configuring our aircraft to match exactly the aircraft that I flew not too long ago, and their weights associated with that. So I've done some tweaking now to get it exactly right. The biggest issue is 65.7 in our takeoff weight. That matches exactly. 10.8 block fuel, 0 fuel weight, 55.1. So we are matched up. Everything looks good. I had to tweak. I think I had a few extra passengers on my aircraft, but their passengers weigh 100 kilograms, 220 pounds. So it might just be a little difference in how we calculate our passenger weight. But that's neither here nor there, because I now have what matters correct. I have the takeoff weight that matches, 0 fuel weight, CG matches. Everything lines up here. We're going to do flaps config 1+F. Now we're taking off of Dallas Fort Worth on runway 17 right. And I need to check the slope on that runway. Doesn't even tell me. It must be equal. It's got the other runways. 0.5 down. Interesting. So I guess 17 right is correct with no slope. So we'll leave that. If you guys see anything different, let me know and I can rerun the numbers. So this is my first time doing this. I'm doing it live with you guys. We'll see how it handles out. So just to recap what we've done, we've got our passengers configured, our cargo configured, and our fuel configured. So we are all lined up. I want to make sure that we do have 10.8 on board. I got to boom. All right, and apply. Everything looks good. Now, we're going to go ahead and make sure that it makes a difference. Aircraft has Florence kit that is installed. Correct. All right, so everything should be configured to match exactly. What we're going to do now is set up the performance numbers. So I'm not exactly sure how ToLiss calculates their V1s, V speeds, and their flex temperatures. I'm just going to go ahead and use exactly what I used in the real aircraft. It was 158, 159, 163, flex of 73, flaps 1. So those are our V speeds. They are set up. Now the last thing we need to do is configure the weather, and I'm going to do that so you guys can see that I'm not doing anything I shouldn't be doing. The weather, the meter at the time was showing that the wind was 210 at 3, or I'm sorry, 210 at 13, 210 at 13 knots. The temperature was 25 C. Nice and warm. It was. Go. And altimeter 29er 4. Boom. Okay. Our weather is configured to match exact. Apply changes. You can see here our temperature is rising. So we have that. I'm going to fire up this aircraft and we'll give it a test. Alright, so here we are. We are set up. Our engines are spooled. Our fuel is good. Our temperature is good. Our takeoff data matches exactly. how I had it. Now, when I did this takeoff, we're basically just testing kind of the ground roll and how their performance works. I started the chronometer, I started the timer as soon as the flex levers reached the flex detent, and the real Airbus took off 40 seconds on the takeoff roll, according to my notes. So let's see how close we can get. I'm going to start the chronometer right here, right when I reach flex. So I'm going to pop up this one over here, and then when this one comes up, it'll be over here. It's really large. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to keep my hand on the chronometer, and then we will go. I'm going to do it just like we do in the real aircraft. We're going to spool them up to 50%, about 1.5 EPR. Or 1.15, I should say. And start the clock. Man flex, SRS runway, auto thrust is blue. Our timer is rolling. So we are going to look for 40 seconds when I lift off. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. 40 seconds. Look at that. That, my friends, is pretty awesome to see. Don't worry about the nav mode there. We're not going to fly the departures, but heading. So that was right at 40 seconds. I know I stopped it at 44, but I was rotating. The wheels were coming off right about 40 seconds. That is impressive. So if you want to know, is this aircraft actually doing what it's supposed to be doing? I can 100% tell you that yes, it is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and that is awesome to see that. Kudos to ToLiss and the developers doing that, because that was really nice to see. Alright, let's go ahead and get the autopilot on. I'm looking at a couple things here. Notice my FMA now. We discussed this a little bit. Here we go. Auto thrust is armed. Boom. Now it is going to become captured and it'll go away. We're in speed mode. Retract the flaps. So what I'm going to do now is let's turn right. Heading, and now nav is in blue, but it is not boxed, which is correct. So that is indeed fixed. The FMA enunciations have been fixed. That is another awesome little fix from ToLiss. And this aircraft is very fast approaching very good state. You can see here in the takeoff roll from the wing view. I am very impressed with the results we got today. And there you have it. So our takeoff performance calculation was right on the money. The other bug fixes, the FMA has been changed. The Bleed start fault is 90% correct. We do need to get that master caution oral tone to come on. Ding, master caution, engine 2 start fault. And then I don't know if it's something that I'm doing, guys. If the all and recall are working for you, maybe I have a corrupt or a bug on my end I can try to fix. But as of right now, I still can't get the all button to sift through the eCam status pages. I just want to do a quick talk about the comments I received. Somebody was asking how does it feel to hand fly the ToLiss 319? I think it feels great. Okay, it is definitely more sporty than the Flight Factor 320, and that is how it should be. So I'm very pleased with the hand flying characteristics. I'll probably do an in-depth video on that as well in a future series on hand flying characteristics between the two. One last thing before you go. Unfortunately, I cannot post my videos in the ToLiss forum anymore if there's Flight Factor content in the video. So just go ahead and subscribe to my channel here if you want to keep up to date. I'm going to respect the developers' wishes. I can understand why they don't want any Flight Factor competition in their forum thread. Whilst, I mean, I just did a comparison video. You know, it kind of sucks I can't have it in there for you guys to see, but understandable. I'm going to comply with their requests, and if I do have videos that are ToLiss specific, I'm going to go ahead and inject them into that forum. If they're Flight Factor specific, they'll be on the Flight Factor forum. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you here again very shortly for a full cockpit preparation and pre-flight in-depth startup video. Thank you.